All right. Well, good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Mayor Miko Pickett, and I'm here with
Rhonda Bay. I'm the curator of the South Carolina Tobacco Museum. Glad to be here.
absolutely. We're excited to be on our second podcast for Black History Month. And during Black History Month, we're having podcasts to recognize the legacy of 9 remarkable individuals. And today we are honoring the first African American police officer, Officer Robert McBride.
Yes, yes.
And we are so excited about that, and one thing that we know about Mullins is it's just with some great, remarkable people. So what better way than to recognize them on Black History Month? So while we do that, I am going to go ahead and share this, and if you get it, please like and share this content. Um, and then if you're watching it on repeat, on replay, we appreciate you watching it on replay. If you have any questions, we do have a producer in the room, so we will answer any questions that you have live. But if you're doing it on the replay, we will not be able to answer
No.
your
But you
question.
can always reach out to the museum or you, and we will be glad to try to help you get that answer.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, man, we start working on our Black History Month tour many months ago.
I think I gave it a full effort. I'm constantly harvesting data, but my full effort started actually in November because I did not you kind of gave me a real lofty target this year as on how you wanted to look and stuff. And I was like, well, I don't know if I can do that. So I better start now so that I will be prepared for
And
February
she
1st.
did it, y'all.
Um,
She did it. She absolutely did it. So, and then if you haven't been by City Hall, we do have some magnificent exhibits that you could take a look at City Hall. And today we are honoring the person right here on the exhibit. So all 9 of our remarkable individuals, we are highlighting them on our social media pages. And today it's about Robert McBride. So
yes.
let's dig in.
Okay,
Let's
so
dig in.
Mr. Robert McBride was the first African American police officer hired for the city of Mullins. And I take it as a testament that as far as newspaper articles and things like that, there's not a lot to glean from those. So I had to go back into the city meeting minutes, which we all now have online, all the way up to 1968. So
That was
that
a
helps
grant. Thank
all of
you so
us.
much.
Yes, thank you,
Yes.
state. So he was actually hired. The council meeting on July 15th of 1952.
Wow.
We're talking, what, 12 years before the Civil Rights Act?
Right.
1964, correct?
Right.
Making sure
Right.
I had the right
Right.
year.
That was correct. And so
So
1952,
was
that would have been some interesting times, right?
yes, yes.
So, what was the salary in
His
1952?
salary on July 15th, and I'll just preface this with, there were actually, and I've got my notes right here with me, three, six, there were actually 8 people considered for this position.
Oh,
And he was at the age of 29, which, that's,
that's a young man.
yes. Well, actually, he was one of the younger. He was hired at a salary of $175 per month for training to be upped as recommended by the chief after training purposes. So you started in your training at 175 a month as an African American police officer.
No question, because this was the first African American police officer. When you said it was 8 others were there 8 other African Americans?
Yes, that were considered for that position. There
Okay,
were
so
8 applicants,
so at this point, the city was like, we want to hire an African American.
and back then, the executive session really didn't exist, so their names and everything about them was actually published in the public meeting minutes. So all 8 of their names are in here, but he was the one chosen
Okay.
at a salary of 175, which in today's dollars would be $2,140 a month.
Okay, and so what were white officers paid?
Okay, so that's a very interesting question. So that's how he started, and there was a pay disparity. I will tell you, and sometimes the pay disparity was very large. In Mullins, a white officer would be hired within 3 months of that was hired at a pay rate of $200 per month. So you're looking at less than 20%, which would be a $2,445 in today's money. So
Okay.
there was a pay disparity, and that pay disparity did keep going until the early 60s.
And so when, for Officer McBride, when did that change in terms of the disparity in pay?
It appeared to be. Now, I will tell you, the meeting minutes they're just snippets of our life as a
Right.
city, but it looks like the pay disparity was still going on in June of 1962. But in 1963, he became May of 1963, he became the highest paying patrolman in the city of Mullins at $305 per month.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
He was
he had been there 11 years at this point.
Yes, he had been there, right, yes, he was celebrating his 11th anniversary in a couple months with the city of Mullins. So he was actually paid the same as, we had one sergeant in, and he was paid the same amount as the sergeant.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, so we had, unfortunately, we're unable to have the McBride brothers on today. We had
Yes.
talked to them. You and I both had conversations with
Mm-hmm.
them. So we're going to share some information based on what they have told us
Absolutely.
about their father. I will say that, speaking with Jerome, he was just one, he definitely loves his dad.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
He
does.
loves his dad, and he's very proud
Mm-hmm.
of what his dad did. And so one of the things that I asked him, because it's folklore, people talk around town, and I asked him, I said, is it true that your father was hired just to patrol the block?
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, yes, it was true,
Mm-hmm.
that he was hired just to patrol the block. And then he went another step further and said, and if there was a white person that needed to be arrested, that he had to get a white officer to do the arresting.
And I actually have something to add to that. Like I said, I'm going to go back again with the meeting minutes. Never say the cause behind any action.
Right.
But I will tell you, in the early 60s, when not sheriff, chief of police, Dewey Proctor came on board, and I know we're going to talk about him a little bit more later,
Mm-hmm.
there was actually some change in police policy. So you're looking very early 60s, 61
Right.
or so. In the meeting minutes, it says, Robert McBride may now use a car.
Wow,
So that meant
that
to
was
say
in
he was
60. So from 52 to 61,
or 60.
he was on foot.
He was on. It appears that he was on foot. It
Mm-hmm.
said it changed the policy so that Mr. McBride could use a car when one was necessary,
Okay.
and that was actually confirmed by the sons that he could start taking a car home during Chief of Police Proctor's time, and that Chief Proctor could use Robert McBride in any capacity he saw fit. So it sounded like he had a very defined role. And then in the early 60s with Chief Proctor, his role was expanded, how the chief saw fit.
It definitely sounds that. So, in talking to the brothers, did you get any information about that relationship? Because that sounds interesting. It sounds like, you know, Chief Proctor came in, brought his salary up,
Mm-hmm.
gave him a
Yes.
car. That things started to change.
You can actually, and like I say, you can actually, I don't like to infer too much, but you can actually see that. It seems like the first year of Chief Proctor, everything kind of stays the same a little, and then you can start to see the change come about. I did have a conversation. If I'd have known they weren't going to make it, I would have had a longer one. But I did ask them, what was your life like? What was your dad's life like? Because I could imagine, and they said that he served 31 years with the
Wow.
city of Mullins after he was in World War II. So he was in World War II. He was stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which my son was too. So I was very. And then they came back to Mullins. He
So the
became a
whole
police officer.
family.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because Jerome had told me that he was born after his father was hired.
Okay.
Cause I
I
had
did
asked,
not check the year.
yeah, because I had asked him a question, because his father was hired in 52. And I was like, well, how was it in your house? He's like, well, I was little. I think he
Yes.
was born like 2 years later.
Oh, very, very. But he
Mm.
did say some things. I asked him what it was like, and he said, there were some troubles. Some other police officers didn't think he needed to be there.
Mhm.
That is probably not any different than any other police. But he also said that he, being the first African American police officer, the African American community was not responsive to him at all. That they were not actually not welcoming, not warm, not anything. He was kind of thought of as, I don't want to say traitor, but somebody who was there to enforce. And so he said they had problems, and not big problems, but he said he was very proud of what he does. He said he can remember him because we were talking about the rules for police officers. They were a lot. There would be 2 pages of rules in the meeting minutes for police officers. Like if somebody called and said you had owed a debt, you could be fired. Your shoes you had to wear a tie. You had all that. He said, I remember my dad shining his shoes, and I remember my mom um, buttoning his top button when he went to work. And I remember how proud he was of the work that he did. And so
And I could see that.
yes,
I definitely could see where the community at the time, because they had not seen,
experience.
experienced an African American as a police officer.
Yes.
So, but which is even more the reason why we honor his legacy today.
Could you imagine coming to work every day and it's just not going to be, there's no cupcakes for your birthday, probably.
And he still did it for 30 years.
31 years.
31
And
years.
retired as a sergeant. That was one piece that I never got of the puzzle because by the time he retired, we were no longer mentioning employee names in meeting minutes. So,
Right.
so a lot of it was internal records that we don't have. So he retired as a sergeant after 31 years of service. I also asked the kids, I said, how did you, I said, I bet it was like being the preacher's children because
Yes,
you
I
could
was
not,
thinking
yes,
PK too.
yes, because what would you, your dad is the cop and he really has, like I said, there were 2 pages of rules and he said, no, we couldn't do anything wrong. We couldn't do anything wrong.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And I think yeah, so that
That's
was,
very
yes,
honorable.
yes.
That's very honorable. And and even all the way to 2026.
Mhm.
And I tell you guys, the opportunity that we both got to speak to Jerome McBride, that he beams with pride
Oh, yes.
over his father and his father's legacy. And then they ended up, so the family, so he went to World War II, came out of World War II, came back to Mullins, 30 years, and the family is back in.
They are back in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
We talked glowingly about Oklahoma. It's one of my most favorite places. But I did want to, one aside that he said, I asked about the Chiefs and what it was like to work with the Chiefs. And he said most of the ones up until Proctor, they were just a normal relationship. He said Dewey Proctor, Chief of Police, is the first. He said his dad almost had a sixth sense that he could tell the chief was coming by, and he would be dressed, and he just like he knew it. But all the chiefs before, he'd be dressed and ready to go, and he'd meet them at the door, and
Right.
they were. He said, Chief Proctor, they didn't just have a working relationship; they had a relationship, and they had mutual respect and love for each other. That Dewey Proctor was the first chief he ever remembers being in their house. Like he would let him come in his house. He was very. They had a not just working relationship, and I, felt like that was something that needed to come out too.
It does. It's a story that needs to be
Yes,
told,
yes,
right?
yes.
Because as we honor the legacy of Robert McBride during Black History Month, Chief Proctor, same. Because there were
Made it a little
people,
bit easier.
made it easy, and there were people all along the way in our history.
Because I will tell you, we all love that person that makes our day a little bit easier.
That part, or that great boss that's your mentor.
Yes, yes.
Mine is Bill Lemoyne, and he took me underneath his wing, and I will never forget him. So as African Americans, there's people who don't look like us that kind of shepherd us through along the way. So just so glad to oh, he's calling in. Let's see.
Jerome?
Okay, this is live. We're live.
Jerome, we're live.
And we got you on speaker. Is that all right?
That's great.
I hope they can hear. Okay. I hope they can
We're
hear.
making sure you can hear right
Turn
now.
it up. Okay.
Yes, I can.
Awesome. We want to make sure they can hear you online. So we have just been talking all about you and your father,
Yes.
and really we were to the point where we were talking about Chief Proctor.
Chief Proctor. So yes, if there's anything you want to add or take us in any direction.
Well, I always knew that Chief Proctor and my dad had a special relationship because Chief Proctor was one of the few policemen that my dad would talk to inside the house. Every now and then, a policeman would come to our house, but my dad had a sixth sense, and he knew when they were coming, and he'd always meet them at the door. But Chief Proctor was one of the few that he would let inside the house.
Wow. And so we were also talking about, I want to go back a little bit,
Yes.
where we were talking about the way your father was received by the African American community as the first African American police officer.
Well, there were mixed feelings in the way that he was received. Some of them thought that he was doing the, how do I say it, the white man's bidding for them. And others saw it as a need that was being addressed when the city council hired him.
Which, I mean, we're 2026, many years removed from 1952. But, and it was an all-white city council.
It was.
But I tend to agree with them. It was because your father was a trailblazer.
Yes.
And to be the first is a real big deal.
Yes.
And I'm glad that those folks on city council had the courage to do it, and that your father had the courage to serve over 30 years.
Yes, 31 years.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow. So what stands out most to you, being growing up in that household, or even after you graduated, because he was still there, right, when you moved out?
Oh, yes, he was still there. Um, he was a very caring person, very loving. He was he liked order and
Military.
I was gonna say that from about police, but military. Yeah.
yes, he liked order and for things to be done in a decent and respectable way. And he instilled that in us
Mm.
to always do our very best and to always be our very best and to be mindful of other people and their needs.
Wow.
Wow, what a legacy.
That is a legacy. And so, can I ask, and I don't know, do you have any children yourself?
No, I don't. I don't. I have nieces and nephews,
Okay.
and I pass as much along to them as I can
Awesome.
out their grandfather.
Awesome. Well, listen, here in the city of Mullins, we couldn't be happier than to, really honor his legacy. And before you got on, Rhonda and I were talking about the fact that we started to work on who the honorees were going to be, November.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, we kind of settled on the first.
Mhm.
We were going to try to find people who were the first and their respective roles. And I can't think of any role in our city that's more honorable than police officer.
And can I add this? When I started the museum, I really sought out information on our African American citizens. And your dad, and I will take a picture and send it to you, he was actually mentioned in our centennial booklet. So you can really,
So that would have been
1972.
Okay.
So yes, he was actually mentioned in that. So I haven't had a chance yet, but I told you I would send you that picture of him with Chief Proctor and everything. So
Wow.
so yes, his information was easy to find in the first African American history post I ever made on social media was about your dad, because it was just such a good. I did spell his name wrong. Ironically enough, the same time this is happening,
Mhm.
we have a council member on, and all of these things. that was McBride with a Y instead of an I. So there are a lot of information where I guess they did the Y for him too. So I spelled your dad's name wrong the first time I used it, but his legacy still hangs around. His store, he's on our actual city website.
Yes.
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 Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, it means a lot, Mr. McBride, you know, and I could not be more grateful than for our museum director, you know, really preserving the history. And, you know, your nieces and nephews, they're going to be able to read about their grandfather, or is it their great grandfather, you know, in our at our museum. And if you come back to Mullins, we'd love to see you.
Yes, please do.
I will make it a point to visit come by the mayor's office
Please.
the next time I'm in town.
Please, please, please do. Please do.
I will
We're
do
dropping
that.
the video this afternoon.
Oh, yes. And for everybody out there online as well, we have a video that we're going to be dropping from the museum this afternoon that highlights Sergeant Robert McBride.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, Sergeant Robert McBride. So we will be dropping that video as well. So we thank you so much for calling in, Mr. McBride. We really appreciate you, you know, sharing your family and your stories with us. And, you know, and the city of Mullins, we definitely thank you so much.
Well, I know my father would be honored and very pleased that that the city of Mullins is still recognizing him for his legacy and all those 31 years of work that he so graciously and provided to the citizens, not only of Mullins, but of Marion County.
That's right. Yes, most definitely. Well, we appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was perfect. Yay. Well, we're going to end on that. Yes.
Is there anything else you can say?
No, except for just to remind you guys that the next session, the next podcast will be on Thursday, same time, 3 o'clock. And the topic there is two more great firsts. Councilwoman Patricia Ann Phillips and Councilman Robert Johnson.
Yes. And our special guest will be?
Uh-oh, I'm still working on confirming the special guest.
Oh.
You have somebody confirmed?
I thought you told me yesterday.
Not yet, not yet. So if you haven't heard from me, we're going to be confirming those special guests. No worries. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Oh, somebody's watching. It's Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline, from Somerville, South Carolina.
Okay.
So I hope you enjoyed the podcast and tune back in for the next one. Any more questions? Nope, that's it. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.